Is the UDL IRN Network and Learn for October 2019. So we're excited to have you here tonight. We've got a great lineup, and I'm going to go ahead and share my screen and start our slide deck. So tonight's webinar is called Learning Design, What's in It for Me? Tonight's moderator, myself, Susan Harden. I am on the operations team for the UDL IRN, and joining me tonight is LaTanya Motley. LaTanya is a member of the Professional Learning Committee and also a professor at Wayne State University. So we're delighted to be here. We'll be working in the background because we have a great set of panelists tonight who are going to be talking about learning design and all of the components of it. So tonight, Steve Nordmark will be leading us off. Steve is the Director of Business Development for CAST and really is one of the leads in our learning design platform. He makes sure everything works correctly and that all of us are coordinated and working together to bring this this platform and the design of it to you in a way that's effective and great resource for you to use. Also joining us tonight is Allison Posey. Allison is a curriculum and design specialist at CAST. Allison has many talents and, as LaTanya said, is famous, so we're glad to have her here tonight. But one of her roles, and she'll be talking a little bit about that, is she spearheads many of our UDL certification and credentials, and she'll be talking about the credentials this evening. Also joining us is Sung Park, and Sung is a coordinator of inclusion education in Santa Clara County, and Sung also is a large user of the learning design platform. He'll talk a little bit about the initiative in which they're using that into California, and he's also one of our resource creators. So we have a great panel tonight to talk about learning design. Okay, just a reminder, if you are watching via YouTube Live, please use our hashtag UDLIRN for questions, comments, etc. We will be moderating that hashtag and bringing your questions to the panelists. So if something comes up that you want to hear more about, or you have a question, feel free to use that. For those of you who are joining us on the webinar tonight, you can use the chat feature to ask questions or share some insights along the way. So this is an interactive webinar. We do hope for your questions and your comments and your interaction with our hosts tonight. So feel free again to use a Twitter hashtag UDLIRN or to chat in the Zoom chat. And now I'm going to pass it over to Steve to talk a little bit about learning design and give us an overview of options for engagement in learning design.
Thank you, Sue. Appreciate it. So, Sue, I don't know if we should switch screens now, or you tell me if that makes sense.
That's fine with me, Steve. Let's do that. I'll go ahead and stop my share.
So I'll share mine. Give me a second. Desktop 2. Okay, so you should be able to see my screen now. Is that correct?
Yes.
Wonderful. Okay, so as Sue said, we're going to do a little engagement overview of learning design, go through things fairly quickly, but give you an opportunity to engage with us in the process. And as Sue mentioned, LaTanya and she are going to be monitoring the chat in the Zoom window as well as within the Twitter feed. So if you have questions along the way, don't hesitate to use that to ask the questions, and they can feed those to me and Allison and Sung. So one of the things that's really important to understand about learning design, and a major goal as an online community platform, is that in addition to teaching about universal design for learning, it's based on those principles. So it's built with UDL. And that's obviously incredibly important to us in trying to live up to the ideals of UDL and the design principles that we bring forth in building the online platform. Just a quick overview in these slides will help you understand some of the major components of learning design. We have curated content, and we'll dive into that in a little bit. set of learning resources that have been harvested just so that each of you have an opportunity to learn more about universal design for learning as well as other related topics. And then there's network and sharing opportunities, and Sung is going to provide a nice overview of a lot of those and be able to dive in a little bit deeper, in particular in a context, as Sue mentioned earlier, related to what he's doing at Santa Clara County Office of Ed and their initiatives. And then the other major component is the credentials. The credentials, you're going to have a great opportunity. Allison's going to provide an overview of the 2 credentials that we have live already, so that you can see a little bit more about those credentials in learning design and understand more about what they encompass. So I'm actually going to switch over and go live in learning design. So let me just switch over here. So learningdesign.org. If you're watching and you want to interact, I would encourage you to open up a browser window, and you can still be listening and following along. But one of the first things I want to point out to your attention is this brand new video that we have here. So we actually just today updated the look and feel of this homepage. And this video, in collaboration with our partners at Fable Vision, was created to provide an overview of learning design. So I'm not going to play it. You have the opportunity to do that yourself. But what I want to emphasize is, from an accessibility standpoint, in addition to having closed caption and allow you to see the transcription of the video, we also have the audio description version seamlessly integrated into it. So while you're playing the video, you can actually toggle back and forth between that audio description version so that anyone who needs that support can have that support at the ready. And of course, you can pull it to full screen and put it back to the small version. But we're really proud of that video. It provides a great overview of learning design, a lot of which we'll talk about today. So one of the things that it encourages you here is to create a free account. So I would encourage each and every one of you to follow that link and create your free account. It's as easy as putting in your first, last, and email. It'll send you an email just to verify that you are a real person. And then you can, after validating that email, activate your account in Learning Design. So I'm actually going to use demo account and log in. And the first thing that you notice when you log into Learning Design is it takes you to your hub. So the first thing that you see on the top of the hub is a set of resources. Now, right now, those resources are a set of featured, new, and popular resources that are cycled through on the platform. So everybody in Learning Design today that has an account will still see similar resources when they go to my hub. But in the future, similar to Netflix and other personalized platforms, as we know more about your behavior, learn more about what you're interested in as far as resources, we'll be able to personalize that set of resources for you. But what is personalized even today is the set of tiles, these action tiles that appear on the bottom. So obviously everybody's going to have an opportunity to update their profile. And I'll talk a little bit about the bookmarks related to the resources. If you belong to initiatives or organizations within Learning Design as part of the community aspect, then you will have those tiles as well. Sung will talk a little bit about those in a bit. And then we'll highlight a little bit of the coaching features, which is built into the professional learning instructional coaching tools that we have within Learning Design to supplement some of the initiative and organization collaboration that goes on. And then, as I mentioned, the credential features allows you to engage with both the level 1 and level 2 credentials that are within Learning Design. But the first thing that I wanted to do is talk a little bit about our global vetted cataloged resources. So up on the top, you've got these menu items, and resources is one of the major featured items within Learning Design. And we have hundreds of resources that have been cataloged. All of these resources have been vetted on the back end and approved so that you know you're looking at quality resources. You can go ahead and you can scan through them if you like, just using a browse, and you can browse through using the paging feature. But you can also use these search refinement options on the left-hand side of the screen. This provides you a great way to quickly get access to resources that you'll find engaging for your particular needs. And one of the things that I wanted to highlight is not all the resources, but a good number of resources are actually aligned to the credentials. So from a formative learning opportunity, you can either, before going in and demonstrating your competence with the credential, or during your credential experience, get access to resources that are aligned to those credentials simply by tagging which one of those credentials that you're interested in. And more specifically, within credential level 1, you actually have the opportunity to do a search refinement on the knowledge domains, the key domains within that particular credential. So say, for example, you're fairly comfortable with the concept of learner variability and the other pieces here, but you really aren't sure what expert learners are all about. You have the opportunity to click on that and refine down to resources that may be able to help you better understand expert learners. So within Learning Design, we are actually indexing these resources. Not all of them live in Learning Design. Some of them are actually resources that live off in other platforms. It's important for us to have those links here so that we can, in that formative learning process, provide access to help reinforce your learning as you're going through those credential opportunities. And it also gives us an opportunity to provide multiple means of representation for these resources. So for this particular resource, there's actually a document version that's been listed within, as well as the link off to the site on CAST platform that actually takes you in to learn more about that particular resource. So again, the power of having these resources in Learning Design is not that they all live there, but it's one place that you can go to search for those resources and find out more about them. So I'm actually going to stop there and provide folks an opportunity. I don't know if there were any questions, Latonia and Sue.
So Steve, not many questions yet. I just had one that I thought might be helpful for the good of the organization. So let's say that somebody had some resources that they thought others might really like and value and maybe benefit from. What should they do?
It's a great question. So it's very important for us to develop partnerships with folks out in the field. And if you have resources that you would like to contribute to Learning Design, you can contact us at info@learningdesign.org, and then we can open dialogue and see about getting those resources within the platform. We've already worked with a number of different organizations to catalog great resources from all across the globe. So it's a wonderful opportunity, as Sue suggested, to collaborate and be a part of the platform.
And Steve, I just wanted to mention there was one question that came through while you were talking and had to do about translation. Allison just looked like she chimed in on it. A question had to do with taking the certification exam. It's in English. Can it be translated or taken in a different language?
So right now, the credentials that we have available, level 1 and level 2, are presented in English. We have not yet translated those. So I'd be very interested to connect with folks who are interested in having those translated to other languages. And similar to requests about adding resources to Learning Designed, go ahead and use info@learningdesign.org as a way to reach out and ask that question, and we can open a dialogue about getting that done. Thanks, Latonia. Allison or Sung, anything else that you want to share about the resources at this point?
Thanks, Steve. This is Sung, and I just want to say how there are just so many great resources for Learning Design to have been live for a year. We're looking at now, what, 39 pages of each page having 9 great resources on each page. There are so many great resources right now, and you could really get lost in the UDL world on there. So it's just wonderful, and we are just sharing it out to everybody we can.
Yeah, thanks, Sung.
And this is Allison. I think it really answers the question when people say, where can I go to find UDL resources? This is what we want to be that go-to place for folks. So if it's not that for you yet, share resources with us. But I really do, like Sung was saying, I think it's an incredible repository right now from folks from all over the United States and globally who are contributing to it. So we really do hope that when people say, where can I go, that this will be the place that will just meet your needs related to universal design for learning.
Thanks, Allison. One of the other things I wanted to point out, and this isn't just related to the resources, it's on the Learning Design platform. There's this button over here to the right on my window called Provide Feedback, and that's accessible throughout. And that gives you as a user the opportunity to provide feedback at any point in time. We actually had one user very recently provide some feedback, and she said, okay, I really like this. I'd like to see this changed. So it provides us wonderful insights into how you feel about the user experience that you're having. So I would put a couple of questions out there to you right now and say, if you can let us know about where you go for resources, if you can let us know more about what type of resources you're looking for, and if you can let us know, maybe what type of supports you'd like within Learning Design as you're trying to use the learning resources, any of those, please feel free to share that. You can do that via the chat window, you can do that via the Twitter feed, or you can do that via info@learningdesign.org, or go ahead and use this provide feedback button right here on Learning Design and share with us.
Steve, another cool tool that people may not know is in Learning Design is the text help toolbar. Do you mind just showing folks how to get to that?
Yeah, I'd be very happy to. So what we've been very blessed with is Text Help as an organization has a lot of great accessibility technologies, and they've made one available within Learning Design. So you can actually enable Text Help whether you're logged in or not. And with it activated, this toolbar will appear. And then if you've got text that you want read back to you, you can highlight. Let me go into this resource. And I can highlight this text. Let me see if I have my mic. There we go.
How can teachers of young children ensure that all children have meaningful opportunities to learn?
So I'm not sure if you were able to hear that. Hopefully you were. But it, as you can see, not only reads it aloud, but also follows it along. So it's a wonderful accessibility tool that you can have access to and you can control. So you can actually close that and work within Learning Design and then reopen it. Or if you want to turn it off temporarily, you can just come into your profile area and deactivate it within your account settings. Thanks a lot, Allison. I appreciate you mentioning that. All right, I'm going to jump back to the presentation slides here for a minute. I'm going to do a couple of quick introductions around organization memberships and Initiative Hub, and then I'm going to kick it off to you, Sung, to take it from there. So as I mentioned, organizations, school systems, nonprofits, higher ed institutions, whatever the case may be, can have a membership in learning design. And that gives them the opportunity to have a private community space, allows them to bundle credentials, have initiative hubs and instructional coaching supports, and we'll go into those a little bit more. On the initiative side, what we've done, almost like a project hub or a group hub, gives you the opportunity to list initiatives that you have going on within your organization, and it enables you to matrix with folks who may not even be in your organization. So if you have an initiative that's working across a region, state, nation, whatever the case may be, you can bring people from outside your organization and involve them in the initiative through learning design. And again, Sung is going to give more of a concrete example of that. So Sung, I don't know if you want to take over, if you want me to just kind of flip through the slides for you, you let me know.
Steve, you could flip through the slides for me since you have it all wonderfully set up there. And then I guess I'll take over just a little bit when I show it on LD.
Yeah, and actually, let me break just to see if anybody had any questions before we do start on that. Give Latonia and Sue an opportunity to ask us if anybody else had any questions.
Doesn't look like there are any questions in the chat room right now, but I'll keep an eye on it.
Great. Okay.
So
Right.
just one quick question. This is Sue. Came in about the kinds of resources that you're looking for. If you were looking for resources, are there specific ones that you're particularly interested in? Or are there some parameters around resource sharing?
So I'd love to hear perspectives from Sue, Sung, Allison, all the above. I think just my quick reaction is anything from, what would I use to get me going Monday in my classroom, to research resources that are highlighting studies about UDL implementation, to people who are cataloging presentations on UDL. So really, it's anything today that we're focused on universal design for learning, but we also have resources within learning design which don't specifically talk about universal design for learning, but they'll talk about concepts that are integral. So they may be talking about learner variability. They may be talking about looking for barriers in the environment and the curriculum as opposed to the learner, but they may never even mention universal design for learning. So it's important that people understand there's a fairly broad range of resources that we'd be looking for. And
Thanks,
all,
Steve.
yeah, and
Yeah,
all.
I think that was a great answer. I don't have anything to add. That was very comprehensive.
Yeah, one thing that did occur to me, I apologize, I should have mentioned that, is it's not just K-12. So there may be a large number of K-12 resources, but we're actually actively working in California through Santa Clara County Office of Ed and 4 other county offices of ed on an early learning initiative to help bring universal design for learning in that early learning setting. And of course, there's a large group working in higher ed and adult learning. And so we're very interested across the age spectrum, not just K-12.
And I'll even throw out informal learning spaces as well. So, we've done work with museums and after school programs. So this is about learning. So wherever learning is happening, those resources can align with UDL.
All right, Sung.
Okay, well, thanks, Steve. So once again, Santa Clara County Office of Education has 2 professional learning initiatives on learning design. I'll start with our California One, Highway to Success for All Students initiative. And I'm just going to give it a little bit of context here. Last year, 2018, California established the California System of Support, a support structure that defines roles and responsibilities to ensure that a base level of support is available statewide and that relevant expertise can be leveraged to any school district. Santa Clara County Office of Ed was awarded the equity lead role and responsibility. And on screen right now, you'll see the diagram for the system of support showing how any local education agency can get access to various expertise from community engagement, math, equity, and so forth through this networked system of support. So we are the equity lead, and our equity lead program is known as the California One, emphasizing the state's vision for one team, one system for all students, and California as a leader. Plus, it's a beautiful, familiar physical highway. So we love our California One. And as equity lead, our core goals are to, if we advance the slide, sorry, are to ensure comparable high academic achievement and other positive outcomes for all students on all achievement indicators, to ensure equitable access to educational services and inclusion for all students, and to ensure equitable treatment for all students. For this responsibility, we chose Universal Design for Learning as our foundational plate because there is no framework that supports disrupting inequities such as Universal Design for Learning. And that's why our California One is foundationally based on implementing Universal Design for Learning practices and scaling that up throughout our state. So for our California One, it's a partnership bringing together many folks from different organizations. Our stakeholders include community organizations such as the Roots Community Clinic, assembly members, publishing house like Brooks Publishing, higher ed institutes such as San Jose State, and of course, CAST, the lovely folks here. For our initial 2-year pilot process, we also have 13 LEAs across 4 counties. So our own Santa Clara County, also Monterey County, San Benito County, and Santa Cruz County as part of our partnership. We love our partners, but I must say sometimes just getting all these wonderful folks together in one setting is an accomplishment altogether. So we are representing many viewpoints, and we really appreciate getting all these stakeholders involved and getting resources and tools that reflect their needs, and just hearing and involving our partners. For our California One, we've taken a multi-tiered approach because we do like our tiered support system here in our state. And more than a tiered support system, I have to say that it's a continuum of supports, really. And for tier 1, we have universal limitless online support. Because we are an equity lead that is connecting equity best practices throughout the state, we were thinking about, well, how can we make this happen at a statewide level? Because we have a huge state, we can't just keep going everywhere. So for our tier 1 universal, it is online based. And in this way, anybody can get access to it. It's limitless. It includes learning modules that include core competencies, readings, forums, assignments, and deliverables. Even though they are online, we also personalize it in that each of the online modules have both a teacher and also an administrator or coach supporting the teacher tracks, because we recognize that both roles have different needs. So we want to support those different needs. And while online, we also support needs assessment with root cause analysis and action planning, so that all within the online environment, we can have steps towards more equitably meeting the needs of all our students. And we are partnered with CAST, and it's quality assured, and we have stackable micro-credentials. For tier 2, this is a little bit more focused. And for this, we offer face-to-face extended support. And this will take place with our annual conference, which we just had last week. We have monthly equity institutes across many different content areas. And we have an online blended professional learning community. Also, any of our tier 1 online supports can be presented in a face-to-face format. And finally, we have tier 3, and we are developing with the National Equity Project a Ways to Equity playbook of reflection, assessment, resource, and action planning tools to help educators and administrators at both a classroom, school, and district level to be on improving continuous improvement steps towards meeting the needs of all our students. And that should be out in the summer of 2020. So we're really looking forward to that. And here's just a representation of our tier 1 courses. And these are our digital badges that represent our online learning. And once competency is demonstrated, then these digital badges are awarded. So as we see, we have the one for Universal Design for Learning in the lower left there, but we also have things such as supporting English learners, supporting positive behavior, supporting students with disabilities, culturally responsive anti-bias teaching, along with visionizing and action planning and building collaborative teams. We also just rolled out data-driven decision courses for academic data and for behavior data. And we will have an equity and continuous improvement course out with our equity or Ways to Equity playbook when that's available. And for each of our online courses, once again, we have the educator and administrator tracks all within the Learning Design platform. And we're making them so that these are all stackable and personalized depending on the needs of the individual or the school or LEA. And even within Learning Design, we are trying to make it so that coaching capacity is developed at the school and district level so that they are building that capacity and also supported within the Learning Design platform.
Yeah, I'm going to stop sharing here because then you can drive some on your platform and do in Learning Design, demonstrate for them how some of this has come to life.
And as you're
Sure.
making that transition, I just want to highlight how exciting, whenever I hear Sung, the description of how you do your tiers, I appreciate so much how you all are seeking to change the design of the environment and not the individuals within it. I just think it's a really powerful model. And I've heard you share this before, and it just strikes me again tonight. And I just want to highlight that for the viewers.
Thank you. Thank you.
And
We
Sung, we
appreciate
had
that.
one question. Hi, Sung, this is Latanya.
Hi, Latanya.
Hi, we have one question in the chat area. It's from Sue. Sue would like to know, are your CA1 resources open to the UDL community?
So some of them are, and we are in our 2-year pilot process. So some of them are open and some of them are not. Our Ways to Equity playbook will be open. Our equity institutes are open to the public, and many of our online resources for the tier 1 supports are only for our initial 13 LEA partners, however. But we are working on that to make it available for everyone. We hope that we can open it up for everyone very soon. But I will actually show you a little bit on LD itself, just what is available and not available for others here. So hopefully you can see my screen, and I'm on LD here.
Yeah, something just happened to your screen, so I'm not sure. It just collapsed, so it's in the middle.
There. Oh, okay. So okay. So I'm just at my hub here, and I'm just going to scroll down, and I'll go to my initiatives, and I have 2 initiatives here: California 1 and the Fast Track. So let's go take a look at California 1. And it tells me what the California 1 is and our goals and what equity means to us here. And let's do some exploring. So we have a feed available, and I can put up documents, events, videos, and posts here. And I'll go ahead and post something right now. I don't want to type in anything. I mean, I already have this thing going, so I'll go ahead and I'll record something here. Hi, everyone. We're doing a network and learn about learning design, and we hope that you will be able to check out this webinar. Hopefully, I will save it. And here it is. I've added it to the feed so we can communicate with each other within this initiative. And that really makes it convenient because oftentimes I don't want to type, but I can certainly record something. And if I don't want to have the video, I can just have the audio playing. We have our events on here. So all the equity institutes that I had previously alluded to for our face-to-face tier 2, they're here. So in May, we'll have promoting equity for Latino boys. April, literacy skills and social sciences. In March, African-American student engagement in primary and secondary schools. Intersectionality and disproportionality in February. English learner roadmap in January. Co-teaching for equity. And we had our conference and so forth. But what's really nice about this is that it really is a hub. So you can see what events we have within our professional learning initiative. And let's say, you know, this looks interesting. Okay, wow, I want to go into the conference. Okay, I'm learning more about the conference. And I can actually go and register and be sent to links to register for for our event. And I can do that for this institute, for instance, and go and register again if I would like to. So in that sense, it really is a one-stop hub here. I have the events laid out like that, and here it is in calendar format. We have our resources here, and on our resources, these are our online courses, our modules that I had also previously discussed. So here it is, Vision 1. Here is that great UDL Associate Credential Level 1 assessment. And we have some of these other ones like supporting English learners, culture responsive anti-bias teaching, and here are our data-based decision-making courses. So, and I'm just going to go into the Vision 1 course as an example here. This is indexed on our Canvas site, but it's here on Learning Designed as a hub. So here it is. I want to access the course, and it takes me to Canvas here, and I can get started and be on my way here for visionizing what it means for equity in our setting. I have my shared documents of things I want to share out to our initiative members and be able to talk about and reference. So I have positive outliers, which is a document about 7 school districts that are really making a difference and doing great things in terms of equity work. One System Special Education Task Report and a few others here. I have my members within the initiative here, so I can see who's in here. And it's a list. I also can see the organizations within our initiative. So even though we're doing it as Santa Clara County Office of Ed, I have my other 12 LEAs here. So I can see all the organizations here. And for example, I'll go into this school districts. And here we are looking at the members here. So even though these members are on Learning Design and they're primarily affiliated with Alum Rock School District in this case, they are still able to be networked to our California One initiative. Also, I can invite users, and we have flexible means to invite users to our initiative, because let's say I would like to invite a teacher from that aforementioned Alum Rock and to our resources. So I can send an email and I can tailor the message and invite them through email, or they can also join by getting an organization ID, member ID number, of which I can't show that right now, but we do have a membership ID number that we can also send out for users to join when they are signing up on Learning Design. So that's just a little bit about our California One. And I also said that we have a second initiative, and that is our Fast Track to Success. For Fast Track, how do we fast track student success? By providing quality, inclusive early learning environments. And the research is very clear. The sooner we start, the better it is. So that's what Fast Track is. And we call it the Fast Track because that is our fast way of paying our tolls and carpool here in California, and that's the pyramid logo. So it's very familiar once again in that we are fast tracking success. So when we go into here, we have very similar resources in bringing UDL implementation to early learning settings. And once again, we have about, feed, events, resources, shared documents, members, all those good things also for Fast Track. And for Fast Track, we have a 5th county office also involved. So San Mateo County is also involved. So we have 5 counties and many different organizations and LEAs within our Fast Track, and we're all networked together, learning together within Learning Design. And are there any questions here?
Well, there was one question. I believe Steve has already addressed it, but I'll go ahead and read it out loud just in case. There was a question about, does this site have any direct connectivity with Microsoft or Google? And that is because they want to know if any new content is posted, can it go directly, feed directly to Microsoft Teams or any other environment?
Yeah, so I had answered that song and I said, not yet. I love the concept. We talk a lot about, Danny, similar aspects to your question and trying to think about ways to integrate other community building and social networking tools that are out there, as opposed to trying to replace them. I think meeting the spirit of your question and trying to integrate them. So not yet. Would love, as I said in my response, would love to hear more about what your interests are in that regard or possible ideas for that integration.
So Sung,
Thanks
one
for answering that,
question.
Steve. Yes.
One other question that came up. This is Sue again. Can you share with? You shared a lot about how you're sharing resources with your community. How can the people who are part of your community, can they share things as well, or what? How do they interact back with you?
Yes. So that actually reminds me, we can create coaching groups, and in that way, we have personalized learning groups that share the same interests, maybe going through the same resources. In our case, it will be our initiative. But within these coaching groups, people can share resources, comments to each other within a smaller setting, but also within our, so this is a PLC group that is a coaching group for our California One. But also within our California One initiative, if one is a member, anybody can post into this feed here. And I already did with this video as a demonstration. And in this way, we can have this feed where we're commenting on each other and we're asking questions and sharing good resources and building on that learning community.
Yeah, Sung, if you stop sharing your screen, I'll share mine again and I'll provide a quick little taste of that as well to help answer that question. So what I'm going to do is, Sung was in California One. Brianne is a member of California One. So whereas Sung may be an administrator, she's a member. And within that context, Brianne can access the feed. So she can contribute text-based comments, she can record video, upload video, she can add documents to share with the members of that initiative. She can do that search as well. She can comment on the posts, she can like the posts. So she has an opportunity in here as a member of this initiative to share with the other members things that she's interested related to what they're focused on. She also has the opportunity to engage with all the resources and documents that the managers of the initiative have posted and made available. And then, as Sung said, also has the opportunity for access to the coaching groups. And in those coaching groups, very similar to the initiative, but at much more an intimate level. Whereas the initiative would be a broad-based group, large group. This you're talking about could be as small as one-to-one between a coach and one educator, or it could be maybe a classroom, age grade, or maybe a topic-based group that's working on some problems of practice together. but it's similar, as you can see, look and feel. It adds the opportunity to add goals and track goals at an individual or group level as well.
Thank you, Steve and Sung.
Absolutely. So I'm going to jump back in here and go into a little bit more about the credentialing and certification opportunities. And we've highlighted that we do have level 1 and level 2 out now. And our focus on this is to, within the credentialing and certification effort, build that standard across the globe for demonstrating your competence with UDL. And we're doing that across a couple of different certifications and then a set of credentials. So Sue, I think you're going to talk a little bit about the school certification first. So I'll let you take care of that.
Okay, thanks, Steve. So the goals for the school certification are to provide school, there are actually 3 goals, and they definitely build on one another. So the first goal is that we'll provide schools with a method to demonstrate their competence using the UDL framework to design and implement inclusive, equitable learning experiences, environments to meet the needs of all learners. So the first goal really was to provide this opportunity for schools who are doing solid UDL implementation to measure their implementation successes and to demonstrate their competence. And then the second part of our goal really is to establish an implementation standard. So putting sort of a mark in the sand, this is what implementation should look like, or an aim line, if you will. So it helps to guide schools as they're starting to build that inclusive, equitable learning experiences using the UDL framework. And then our third goal was to give schools the tools and resources that they needed to successfully do this implementation, using the UDL framework to design inclusive and equitable learning experiences. We wanted to make sure that everybody had access to the resources they need in order to make that happen, because we all know this is a real challenging task to get implementation across the school in a real sustainable, successful way. So those are our 3 goals for the certification. So the credential really has several focuses. So this is sort of a reiteration of the last slide, but I want to share with you some of the features that make it a UDL school certification. First is that we wanted to be certain that we were providing multiple pathways for schools who wanted to achieve that certification. So just like in our Universal Design for Learning classrooms, we wanted to make sure that schools had options, that they had a choice in how they achieved that credential. They might come at it from one pathway, where another school might choose another direction in order to receive that credential. We also wanted to make sure that it was a way to validate ongoing implementation. This kind of circles with the last bullet, because it also is a way to really make sure that we're harnessing, supporting, and promoting continuous improvement. So we don't want a school to receive one school certification, feel like they're done. We know in UDL, it's a sort of an ongoing iterative design. We continue to think about our implementation and improve on it year after year. And so our credential is designed to support that and to encourage that. And finally, we wanted really it to be an opportunity to recognize and celebrate the works of schools. As you know, we know this can be a challenging task to implement UDL in a school-wide effort, and we wanted to make sure that schools felt valued for the work that they've been doing. What you're looking at now are the 3, we call them our domains. So they're the really broad overview of what's in that credential. So we've divided the credential elements into these 4 main domains. The first one is about looking at a school's environment and learning culture. So this is defined by the way that the school works together to design a culture and environment that recognizes, values, and designs for learner variability. We wanted to make sure that school culture and environment really is focused on supporting all learners to become expert learners. Variability. We wanted to make sure that school culture and environment really is
Hang on a second.
supporting all learners to be
Feedback here. Somebody might need to, oh, there we go. And then in teaching and learning, that the UDL environment, that in a UDL learning environment, learning opportunities are designed to support that variability again, so that all of our students can become expert learners, and that the framework is used to proactively design environments and experiences that are goal-driven, reduce barriers to learning, and use flexible methods, materials, and assessments. And then in our leadership and management domain, it's defined as a UDL learning environment where the leadership team works to actively support data-driven, iterative design of school-based environments, learning opportunities, processes, procedures, and resources that promote expert learning for all. And then finally, in the professional learning domain, that UDL professional learning anticipates educator variability and recognizes teachers as expert learners, where professional learning opportunities are designed to help educators set and work toward data-driven professional goals that lead to equitable learning outcomes for all learners. So these are very broad domains that have some very similar cross-cutting properties to them. You probably heard that as I was reading those definitions, and we'll look at that in a little more detail in one more slide. But I wanted to just give you a bit of an overview of what's in each one. I'm not going to read these all word for word, so you can take a moment to sort of scan through them. But these are what we call our elements. The elements define what's in the domains. But essentially, we've taken those 4 domains and broke them down into measurable ways that schools can implement universal design for learning in a very structured, systemic way. Steve, you want to just jump to the last slide?
Yep.
So the cross-cutting principles or practices that are built into those 4 domains, you'll see this woven in, and it kind of gives the strength to those 4 domains. You'll see that everything is designed around this intentional iterative process. All of our design is data informed, so decisions that are made, whether it's in teaching and learning or in leadership and management, all use data to support those initiatives and those elements. They all focus on developing expert learners. They all talk about designing with flexibility to anticipate learner variability. And finally, and probably first and foremost, is that all of the designs are based in the goals of the school or the learning community, and they're all very goal directed. So we are in the still alpha phase of the school certification. We're working with several leaders in UDL in the field, people who are leading schools, principals, special ed directors, to provide feedback on the certification. And we're hoping for a launch sometime early next year.
Thank you, Sue. So I don't know if there were any questions that came up, Latonia.
Nope, so far, don't see any new questions that have come up in the chat area.
Yeah, and obviously, if anybody has additional questions on this, they can reach out to us and we can dig in a little bit more.
Absolutely.
I'm going to breeze through this one real quick. The important part here is, similar to a school certification, we want in the education ecosystem to hold the education product companies accountable in the same way and give them an opportunity to demonstrate their expertise in using UDL in their design and development of their products. Now, Allison. So Allison, you let me know if you want to use these slides or if you want to jump to the platform, what's going to be best for you.
That's okay. I'm just, in the interest of time, I want to make sure we end on time for folks. We can stick with this slide. It's what we're hoping to do is think about what UDL looks like in practice. And that's the focus of the credentials. So you may have heard someone in your day-to-day say, oh, I implement UDL. And in the back of your mind, you might have wondered, I wonder what that looks like. And so we hope that these credentials really help establish, as Sue and Steve and Sung have mentioned, just a baseline of understanding, an aim line for deepening the conversation that we can have with each other around what UDL looks like. So this level 1 that's featured here is really focusing on the why. And Sue already mentioned many of the main elements, and you all might now think to yourselves, what is my why for UDL? And we thought it's around barriers, goals, variability, thinking about UDL as being our design framework for that iterative design towards expert learning. It's data-driven. So that associate credential really focuses in on those really essential elements that you think of when you think of why is UDL important. It's already out and you can earn it today. The core is the level 2. And the core credential really is about understanding the fundamental background of universal design for learning. Neither the associate nor the core require you to implement. I mean, we recognize that UDL is the back and forth process of building some understanding and trying out a little. And at first it can feel really scary to try out new practices. You don't know what it might mean for your learners. It might take you more time. So we're really trying to value that learning process that happens for adult learners in practice or in pre-service education programs. So the core is really focusing on knowing and understanding that fundamental background information around UDL. And it includes thinking about how we can leverage the tool of the Universal Design for Learning guidelines, how we can leverage that tool to reduce barriers and anticipate learner variability. So when we think about barriers, we're thinking about barriers in the design of the environment so that they can support the variable learners in our classroom. So what we've done, it was really kind of fun, challenging, but very fun to think about creating some model scenarios for you all to analyze through this lens of the UDL guidelines, reducing barriers, and anticipating learner variability. So that's what you get to do in the UDL core, this level 2 credential. We are currently working on level 3, which is the practitioner, and Steve is showing you here where you can go to learn more. There's the core level 2. And part of what we've developed in the core credential are 7 knowledge statements. And we think the power of these knowledge statements is they really help us to make the transition from the UDL guidelines, all of those checkpoints, to reducing barriers and supporting variability across 7 different levels of our goals, materials, methods, and assessments. So those knowledge statements that Steve was just showing there in Learning Designed really are aimed at guiding the design and the reflection of UDL in practice. And we look forward to releasing the level 3 also in the spring 2020, where you will be able to have the opportunity to demonstrate your ability to implement UDL. So we're very excited. And if you're interested in helping us with that, please feel free to shoot me an email. I'm at aposey@cas.org, and I'll put that in the chat box as well. So if anyone has any questions, I'm happy to field those. And if not, I know we're coming down to 1 minute, so I will turn it back over to Steve.
Yeah, one of the things I wanted to add, thank you, Allison, and I apologize for cheating you on time, but really encourage everybody that's listening in, whether they're doing it actively now or going to be listening in later, to reach out to us to learn more about it, and obviously learn more about the credentials, because level 1 and level 2 are live. We've worked with organizations who have said, you know, it's really important for us to get our educators access to these credentials. We don't want them to have to pay for them on their own. So school systems are actually pre-purchasing access to the credentials, and we're facilitating that for them through these promotion codes. So it's a wonderful way that they can get that for their educators and make it easy for them to register and earn their credentials. So I encourage you to learn more about that, and happy to answer questions about that as well. Sue, I think it's back to you.
It is, and we don't have any additional questions. So I think we'll just, in the interest of time, we'll ask anybody who has questions later on this evening, or perhaps wants to share it on Twitter, that, you know, to post those to #UDLIRN, or send questions directly to Allison, Sung, or Steve as they pop up. We'll take the next slide, Steve. We have a couple things just to share to close out the evening. We can go past that slide. Just a reminder that the UDL IRN Summit is coming to California, to Sung's backyard, April 7th through the 9th. Registration is open. It's still early bird pricing. So if you're planning to go, now would be a great time to get yourself registered. It's going to be an excellent event. I think we had over 110 submissions for calls for presentations. So we've got lots of great stuff lined up. It's really going to be an exciting event. We're so happy to be joining Sung in California and talking to educators from across the globe. So now's a great time to go ahead and go to udl-irn.org to get yourself registered. And don't forget, UDL Chat happens every first and third Wednesday of the month. It's a great way to connect with other educators who are passionate about UDL and who want to share stories, comments, and resources connected to UDL. And then finally, just thank you. Thank you for joining us tonight. We look forward to seeing you. We have a great Network and Learn organized for November. We'll be hearing from voices from the field. So join us. You'll hear more about that soon. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Sue.
Thanks,
Dawn.
everyone.
Thanks, Allison.
Thanks, everyone.